Beckham?
Oh, I need to do stream.
Bro. I had Isaac Paredes in a dummy lineup for the early slate, and I was like, this guy sucks. Like, there's no reason I should play him. So I literally, like, 2v2 to get out of him, and he just hit his second homer of the day. And by the way, those are his first 2 homers. That's like, this is ridiculous. My luck today, dude. I'm telling you.
It's, yeah. It's a rough day for you.
This is so dumb.
Hey, on the bright side, I got 2-pack of cards for it. Choose what you want to do with them, either fade them or play them. PJ Tucker misses PRA by 0.5. I don't know if you saw that.
I am not surprised. It's PJ Tucker. What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. And by Tuesday, I mean Wednesday. I knew that. I was testing them. It's such a... I need some, like, deep meditation, some light candles, and just meditate for an hour, man. I gotta reset the brain. Everything that can go wrong so far is going wrong, but it's okay. We're due to go right. At least I am. I'm Gun. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Joined today by the mad scientist, Josh. Josh, you know, you yesterday you pestered me into a live stream, and I was like, you know what? We'll do a live show. We hit like 160 viewers concurrent. I was like, all right, not bad, not bad. We broke the game down. I felt like we walked away with some pretty good game theory and picks. And then we're chilling in Discord. Al Horford and Marcus Smart rolled out, and that changes literally everything. Like everything about that game. Jimmy Butler, I was, and you know, we were in the voice chat, and we saw Jimmy Butler, his PRA line went from like minus 150 on the under to 130 on the over. Yeah. And we're like, why is that happening all of a sudden? And then like 5 minutes later, Horford Smart rolled out. I was like, no, okay, that's why. So like a lot of stuff we were training towards on the stream yesterday got flipped on its head, and we started switching some plays. So that I mean, NBA is a game of adjustments, especially for fantasy, the news and whatnot. You kind of did not we didn't expect that for a game one in the playoffs with a day buffer. Like, you figured the news would be pretty static, and lo and behold, NBA gonna NBA. So with that said, how'd you make out last night? Who were the villains? Who were the heroes of your night? And then, chat, hopefully you guys were able to be in the free Discord, make some of those pivots because Jimmy Butler certainly became a much better play. Although early on, the Celtics looked like they were going to really play spoiler, but the Heat were able to bounce back. Jimmy Butler, what do you have, like 5 steals?
Oh, he had like so many stocks. He had blocks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read that
the steals in the third quarter.
I think I read that the Heat had like more stocks than 3-pointers made yesterday. So if you're just gonna get extra possessions, it is what it is. But how was your night? You do all right last night?
I did okay. I had a card that pushed with Strus's rebounds, which he got late, but he got into foul trouble. Just wasn't playing well. Yeah. So I mean, obviously the Horford and Smart news changed things, and you know the funny thing is like before that news, we were on the right path. We were saying like Tatum's turnovers because he's gonna, if Smart's out, because he's gonna try to play make and force passes into the lanes that the Heat close very fast. And what happens? He had 7 turnovers, and I got off of it. It was one of my favorite props, besides the Strus rebounds. And I got off of it because it got everything for the Celtics got juiced, even the turnovers. And so the juicing after the news, I was like, man, when I see things get juiced, it kind of makes me less hesitant. I kind of get off of it. Just naturally, you don't want to pay tax. But I should have stayed on it. I was going to go heavy on it. And, a big reason why the Celtics kind of blew that game was all in the third quarter. The Heat went on a 22-2 run, and it was because of big reason. Well, not only Horford and Smart being out for defense, but it goes back to what I keep saying about the Celtics not having a true point guard, and Tatum was just walking the ball across half court and just trying to throw the ball into passing lanes, and the Heat started dropping back in coverage and filling the lanes and just getting easy steals. And then Butler was just sagging off of his assignment and just coming off and pickpocketing Tatum. So Tatum just really had a really bad third quarter and poor decision making, and that's what really was a difference maker, because once Tatum started making the right decisions and adjusting to the Heat's defense, it was too late in the fourth quarter. So, but Jalen got there with his 3 points, which is what we were on. Even after it got juiced at 3, he still made 4, and his rebounds got there, which was another thing we were on. But yeah, I mean the Horford Smart news definitely changed things up big time. But I don't think. I mean, we should be okay today.
Yeah, no, and it was just like an unfortunate thing. Like I hope people that were and most of our viewers are pretty smart, and most of them are in the free Discord. If you're not, there's a link in the description below to get in there. As soon as that news dropped, everyone tagged, and then we started regrouping. We started game scripting what should happen now. Maybe thought about some of the lineup rotations, but it's a big hit. Well, Horford, you guys saw in that Bucks series. He was a big piece of defending Giannis, of defending that team, and then Marcus Smart, literally Defensive Player of the Year. Those are core pieces that double whammied, and that could really change the trajectory of this series and this season. I thought the Celtics were a borderline shoo-in to walk out the Eastern Conference, and now I'm not so sure, because they're not a full strength team. And those are really, really big pieces. So we'll see if they can turn it around here.
Yeah.
Game of adjustments, but Horford's down with the Rona, and from my understanding, it's like a 5-day minimum. And then you have to.
He's vaxxed, like 100%.
I read a quote that said he said he is.
Okay.
He said, she said type of thing.
That's a difference of like 5 extra days, right?
Yeah, that would basically be your series, but so it could be 2 or 3 games depending what it is, and it was more news is coming out. It was like coaching staff and close contact with the coaching staff, stuff like that. So we'll see, man. Hopefully, you would hate to see. And we talked about that yesterday as well, is how this playoffs before the playoffs started, I thought this could be one of the most exciting, wide open playoffs that we've ever seen, with so many teams looking really, really good. And then, we get to the playoffs and we're dealing with injuries. Embiid busts face. Apparently, the Suns were dealing with some injuries. We'll see about that. The Dylan Brooks went down game. There's a couple of injuries that are just really impacting some stuff, and then we're getting a lot of blowouts. So the result is not quite living up to the excitement that I had. But today could be a little different. We'll see. Mavs and Warriors looking like an interesting matchup to break down. And I know you're excited to see the Warriors absolutely stomp, because you have a lot of faith in your Warriors to pull this thing off here. But
I don't know, man. When you got a guy like Luka, anything's possible.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, we are live streaming. I forgot to do some shout outs here, man. I appreciate you guys in the chat. I really do. If you guys were here for that baseball stream, I was supposed to do one an hour ago, man. There's so many technical difficulties that I'll have to make a whole new setup. But tomorrow is like a one of those ugly MLB days where there's like a couple of early games and like 2 late games. So I'll just skip content tomorrow for baseball. I'll use maybe the added time to do some more coding. I've got the coding for the baseball spreadsheet probably about 40% done. And then I'll redesign a new overlay scene for the baseball streams, and then work on some stuff like that. So maybe Friday I'll get back in the saddle. We'll try to double dose the content. I had thought about doing a little later stream today since this game is 8 p.m. Central, so a little later than usual. But I figured why change things up? Why rock the boat? But hey, shout out to you guys in the live chat. Major Plays, Chris Smith, Jeff, Willie Wilson, Kiefer, Sheriff, gonna get you, Pinstripe, Pimp. Ear. What up? Sheriff says that Tatum second half taco was so painful. He had a bunny layup at the end of the game and missed. Crushed my soul. Oof, 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 oof. What up, Emersons? What up, Eric? What up, Darius? Robert, Bickerstaff, Mock Wall. Oh, look at all those members with the G's next to their names. Yeah. Love it, man. I love seeing that. Paul Whitlock, Jason Robinson, Pinstripe Pimp said, played hoops for the first time since before the break because it was free. And finally, min catch. Baseball lineups I put in time in all peed to bed. Yeah, it certainly be like that. The baseball variance is it's a lot of fun. What up, D-Jack? Mia Moore in chat, letting you know the house isn't burning down. I'm just cleansing my area in crystals again. Yeah, we need to cleanse the whole house of this technical difficulty frustration that I'm going through today. Yeah, the Middleton absence, huge, Jeff. It's just like a lot of series so far. Unfortunate nuances to change things up, man. I don't know. We can't be revisionist for this season. Obviously, every year postseason we start seeing injuries rear their ugly head or stuff like that. But it's just I hate looking up and seeing blowouts, man. Blowouts in the league this year and then in this postseason, man, it really dampens the product, man. You want that fourth quarter sweat, and we haven't really had a lot of that lately, you know. What up, Abdullah? Mavs take game 1, Luka triple-double. Let's go. Why did the Nerfy raise happen and Burns getting waxed on? Or the race? Yeah, I saw Eduardo Rodriguez got injured quick, and then, yeah, the Braves' dangerous team, man. Corbin Burns getting got. What up, Young C? I'll come in there right now with my incense. We'll bring a bottle of water when you do it. Anyway, this stream brought to you by RunDFS.com and PrizePicks. You know the drill. We're going to be using my projections that I've got still in a DFS savvy spreadsheet. But if you guys are premium subscribers at RunDFS.com, you get the prop projections tab, you get the prop detector tab, which is also something that's posted for you YouTube channel members in the free Discord, and then the DFS projections, obviously not as robust as during the regular season, but you understand what time it is. So let's open up the board for PrizePicks and get which side you want to start with first, the Mavericks or the Warriors?
It doesn't matter.
All right, I'm gonna start with the Mavs here. Let you sulk in the glory of your what is
do this? Just hold it and go like this around.
Yo.
Just do it. I know you're live, but just
neuroscientist
like
Josh. Do you deal with incense? Jesus H. Wills got banned from. No. Incense.
Go like this. Just wave
It
it
smells
around.
Good.
It does. Wave it around your area.
No.
Oh, all right. What is the meaning of this, my love? Come here. Explain it.
It's plant.
Oh, you got your towel turban. It's supposed to cleanse the area, Josh.
It cleanses
We're cleansing the area of the negative energy of the late scratches for basketball, of our pitchers getting beat up tonight, right? We got a bunch of aces on the slate. If you're playing Garrett Cole, we need a CGSO. Judge is gonna double down. That's a lock. I don't. What else? What else do chat? Help me out. What else do we need?
You just cleanse negative energy.
Of no more second half tacos that don't hit. Luka first half, says Paul Whitlock. Let's incense for Luka first half tacos, bruh. All right.
No, you literally just cleanse your area.
All right. Well.
Go like this, and you just I'm gonna cleanse your aura.
My aura is getting cleansed right now. Josh, what was that?
Nothing.
All right. So while I'm getting cleansed, Josh, I'm taking a look at the Mavericks board. We got Luka Doncic at 32.5 real points, 7.5 assists, 9.5 rebounds,
You're welcome.
3.5 threes,
Now you're gonna have a good streak. Come here.
1.5 steals, 49.5 PRA, just nuts. 3.5 turnovers, 6 free throws. I mean, this is a really wide open board for Luka. We've got 10 props on Luka Doncic for the full game, not to mention, first half, second half, stuff like that. There's a lot to get some stake in Luka tonight. So while the big numbers, the fantasy scores and the PRA, that might be a little aggressive and maybe hard to sweat, there's probably some smaller lines we can get behind. Jalen Brunson on the board, 18.5 real points, 3.5 free throws, 30 fantasy points. DFS on the board, 17.5 PRA. That's the homie, 22 fantasy points. Reggie Bullock also on the board. We're looking at half a turnover, 14.5 PRA, 4.5 rebounds, something you talked about on the first look video this morning. Claybaug's in the cut, half a block shot, 13.5 PRA. Spencer Dinwiddie, Mr. 30. Oh, it's Mr. 30 points. That's probably not gonna happen again, right? 17.5 PRA for him, 20 fantasy points, and then Dwight Powell. You made a really interesting point on the first look video about how Dwight Powell could be game scripted into this one a little bit more if the pace is up and the Warriors do what the Warriors do. 4.5 points for him, 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
But you don't hear me, though. 3 rebounds for Dwight Powell. So I think that'll be a fun one to talk about. But let's start at the top here. Luka Doncic, man. Are you locking in on anything specifically that looks low enough that you want to get behind? Luka is, as the Mavericks go, or as Luka goes, so do the Mavericks. If you're game scripting this game to be competitive, we're dealing with a 5.5 point spread. Luka has shown that he's pretty much matchup proof. Luka's going to be involved. What's your favorite Luka line or lines?
I mean, I like it all. Luka is just notoriously torches the Warriors, and I mean, the Warriors just have no personnel for him. I mean, Wiggins will get majority of the work on him, but Luka shoots right over him, and Wiggins really struggles against him. But okay, so there's a few things. I broke down the film, and I have some stats here. So the Warriors are bottom in the season. They're bottom 3 in most field goals allowed within the 10-foot range, and so that's the range of where Luka thrives. If you open up a heat map of where he makes shots, it's right around the 10-foot range, which is your floaters, your turnaround, fadeaway shots, right in that paint area. And the Warriors are bottom 3 in defending that. And that's his bread and butter. And Brunson really thrives at that as well. Interestingly, the Warriors allow the second lowest field goal percentage within 5 feet of the rim. So right at the rim, they actually allow least amount of or lower field goal percentage. But I mean, so this is my theory, and this is what I think is going to happen. I think the X factor in this series is going to be Kevon Looney, for his not only his rebound, which is obvious, but his defense. So I think Wiggins will spend a lot of time guarding. It's gonna be a lot of people guarding Luka. It's Wiggins, Clay, but I think Looney is gonna be a primary guy. So I think Steve Kerr is gonna treat this series, kind of like how the Warriors have faced Harden and the Rockets for the last 3 or 4 years in the playoffs. And Harden is very similar to Luka in the sense that they want to slow the pace down. They play ISO ball. They want to back you down, and they want to just command the floor. And what the Warriors did in those series is they put Kevon Looney out on ISO on Harden. And Looney, I mean, he has pretty good feet for a 6'9" guy, and he has a 7'4" wingspan. Now Wiggins only has a 7-foot wingspan, so Luka has a much easier time fading away and shooting over him. So I think Looney is going to play a really big role on defense. And what this will do is allow Draymond to play help defense. I don't think everyone's going to think automatically, oh, put Dre on Luka, but that's not what you want. You want Draymond's specialty is a help defender, a roamer, and he's going to be much more efficient when he's coming on as a help defender. So when Luka gets past Looney or gets past Wiggins, Draymond can slide in and be that last resort. And if you look at the past games this season, and the big reason why the Mavs were 3-1 against the Warriors is because Draymond only played one game. So I watched the film, and every time Luka beat that first defender, which is a lot of times it was either Otto or Wiggins, there was no help defense because Dre wasn't there. So I think if Looney can just hold his ground and make it hard for Luka to score, I think Draymond will have an easier time coming as a help defender. But with that said, Luka's still going to eat. But it's just something to think about, and especially when we get to the Warriors side. But I think Luka, his first half props make sense because he will probably get off to a hot start. The Warriors always stumble out the gate. So if you want to get his first half fantasy, definitely with it. I really like his 1.5 steals if you want a low prop for him, because all his props are pretty juiced, especially his PRA and full game fantasy. He's very active on defense, and Jordan Poole and Steph and Draymond will turn the ball over. So the 1.5 steals is really appealing. But if you just want to throw a blanket on all of it, I mean, his full game 56 fantasy points, I thought it was going to open at 58. But I think they're giving the Warriors defense a little bit of credit at home. So, I mean, I still like it. He's gonna do it all today. I mean, maybe not so much his assists, because I think these secondary guys like Finney and Reggie might struggle a little bit on the road, but like we've seen. But yeah, I mean, scoring and rebounding, he's gonna dominate. Should easily double. I see him just having a monster series. Depending on how Looney and Wiggins do out on the perimeter on him. And then so the secondary guys. I can't call what's going to happen with Maxey and Dwight. So it just seems like Kid's going to play. I assume he's going to play by just how the game flow is going and adjust accordingly. But the first game, it's a wild card because there's no game adjustments. This is the first time we see these teams fully assembled as a playoff unit head to head. The Warriors all season did not have their full team when they played the Mavs all 4 games. Either Dre was out or Clay was out when the one game Dre played. So this is the first time we're going to see these two head to head. So it's going to take some growing pains, and we're going to see adjustments after this first game. But I mean, I think I'm just going to make separate cards. I'm going to make one on the assumption that Dwight gets 18 to 20 minutes, and if he gets 18 to 20 minutes, I mean, 3 rebounds, really low for him. I mean, even the 4 points, I mean, that's just 3 alley-oops for Luka, which they get all the time at the pick and roll, or even just 2 alley-oops and a putback. And then I'll make a card with Maxey's 4.5 rebounds, which is really low for him. I think that's just standing out to me. And then even his 16 fantasy points, because he can rack up blocks and fill the stat line. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna hedge my bets and just make 2 separate cards with those guys and just see how the rotation goes. And after this first game. And then the other one that's standing out to me is Finney. I either want his 10.5 points is really low. But his rebounds are there too. So maybe just his PRA, which I know has burned us in the last series, but I just see him having a good, really solid game. He has scored efficiently against the Warriors in the past, so I'm going to say PRA and then 10.5 points and then rebounds for him. And then Dinwiddie, his minutes have been all over the place, but he torched the Warriors earlier this season, man. He was a big reason why the Mavs came back from a 19-point deficit in the fourth quarter to rally for a win, which he had an unbelievable second half. He's going to be needed. I like, if you want a low line for him, I like his 1.5 threes. I mean, he has been shooting really efficiently from the 3-point line. And he should have an easier matchup against the Warriors' second unit. So, especially against guys like Jordan Poole, their defense. And yeah, I mean, Brunson, he could thrive, because he's gonna isolate Poole on pick and roll and get switched onto him. And Poole's defense is definitely exploitable. So yeah, if you want to take his 18.5 points, it makes sense. His fantasy score is pretty high at 30 right now. So I'd probably stick with his points. And then, I mean, Reggie, if I was going to play a card on him, it'd probably be his 8.5 points, hoping that he gets a couple threes and some putbacks or something like that.
So I jotted down Luka first half fantasy from that. And then the 1.5 steals is intriguing. You only have to, it's a hook more for the blocks and steals, but I guess for Luka, we're expecting more of a steal thing. And I will say, I've noticed that that's also 1.5 steals on Underdog as well. So if you want a linear bet from site to site, that's a good one. So let's start. I don't know. Let's start a little list here for the Mavs.
Yep.
Because there's definitely some stuff we just talked about that is not going to be core. Like, we're not going to core the coin flip between Kleber and Dwight. We're just going to kind of like mix those cards in a tertiary batch here. But if you were to nominate something for second or third on the podium for Mavs alliance to target, what would be number 2? And I'm looking past the Luka here. And what we saw, in that last game, it can't just be Luka by himself, even though it's been mostly Luka. He expects somebody else to have to step up, and probably a scorer. So I was wondering if you think Jalen Brunson is worth maybe looking at here. Him and Dinwiddie have been kind of like low enough to take a shot on their points. Brunson at 18.5 real points stands out to me. You're going to need a second scorer. This is going to be you would agree that you expect more scoring in this series than the Sun series, right? Just because of the Suns' team defense.
Yeah, because both these teams shoot the 3-pointers at the highest clip. I mean, the Mavs actually led the league as with having the highest percentage of their points coming from the 3-ball. They were number 1 this season. And their second, they shoot the second highest percentage from the corner 3, which is
Yeah. So
I expect 40 around 43s from each team, 43 point attempts.
All right, that makes sense. So
if both get hot, yes, this game it could really blow the gates out.
And the reason I say that is because now we're getting some lines for the Mavs that might be a little bit more reactionary to the median of the output in the Sun series, and I think this matchup's a little bit better defensive, or a little bit softer defensively. So I could get behind some of these Brunson and Dinwiddie stuff. I'm a little bit more inclined to want to believe in Brunson. I was looking at real points. The other line that I had was I'm 7 points above his fantasy projection. So maybe we can nominate Jalen Brunson's fantasy at 30. I have him for 37. What are you thinking on Jalen Brunson? Who's the number 2 for Luka here that's going to keep the Mavs in this game?
No, it's going to be Brunson for sure. But I mean, just based on matchup, he's gonna get a lot of Jordan Poole defense, especially with Gary Payton out. If Gary Payton was playing, I'd be a little more hesitant. But now that he's gonna get switched on Poole a lot, we saw what he did to the Suns when he got switched on to the right defender that he wanted. And like I said, that 10-foot range where he thrives, where he drives and does his floaters or little pull-ups, like that's why I would probably just go with his points. If he's shooting efficiently in that 10-foot range, I'd probably go with this 18.5.
Yeah. So
but I mean the Finney's his lines are so low.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't got to tell me twice, man. DFS has been my dude all playoff series. And for those of you that maybe are new to the channel, the reason I like Dorian Finney-Smith is simply because of the amount of minutes that he'll play in a competitive game, right? 30 minutes against Phoenix and 25 in foul trouble the game before. That's not the norm. The norm is closer to 40 minutes, especially in this style of play where the game is more likely to be small, more longer than it is to be anything else. So Dorian Finney-Smith could even be, your small ball 4 and 5s in some stretches. So if he stays out of foul trouble, 42 minutes of Dorian Finney-Smith is certainly not outside the realm of possibility. I currently have DFS projected at 35 minutes, and I think I'm even light on that. I can get to 41 and not feel like it's a bad idea. In that minute projection, I'm getting a 28 fantasy point line with 19.5 PRA. So I'm above the fantasy projection and I'm above the PRA projection. So I'm with you on wanting to play some Dorian Finney-Smith. You know, if you get half a peripheral per minute in 40 minutes, go for it. The risk with him, or at least the downside of him in this postseason, has just been a couple of errant foul trouble games and some blowouts.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because like the Suns are not notorious for getting to the free throw line. If you look across the season stats, that's one of their main weaknesses is lack of 3-point shooting and lack of free throws. So it's kind of odd that he did get into foul trouble so much in that series. Maybe it's just a lot of it due to Ayton and having to deal when he played at the 5 and they went small and he had to deal with Ayton a lot. So I think he stays out of foul trouble in this series more so than the last one. Because it's going against a smaller Warriors unit.
All right.
So I would say his PRA because I can't decide between his rebounds and points.
I mean, is still equity strong enough for you to want a piece of that fantasy line? 2, 1, 1, 3 steals. So that's implying for. Let's just put that 5.5 plus 5.5. The turnovers have been, Hey, I wouldn't mind either or. I wouldn't. Okay. So I'll list both right now. So I'm going on the list. I'm working on Doncic's first half fantasy 1.5 steals, DFS fantasy points or PRA, and then you're thinking Jalen Brunson 18.5 points is the better line than the 30 fantasy.
I mean, he could get a couple steals, but he doesn't really rack up assists that much, especially when he's on the court with Luka and Dinwiddie when they run that unit in the second half. And you're going to get 1.5 points per assist. So yeah, he's going to have to get it done on the stocks with his points. So if he's going to get 30 fantasy points, I imagine he clears 18.5 points.
That's fair. All right, so we'll do that, and then I think it's the most responsible thing to leave off Kleber and Powell on the short list
it's so
here.
tempting. It's so tempting.
If
you call it right, you're gonna hit. You're gonna hit 100%.
No. I'm saying we'll get exposure to that, but I'm working on the more short list version here.
Yeah.
Obviously, 1 game slate. You guys are degenerates with an extra 2 hours to sit around and make extra cards. You're gonna start betting some dumb stuff. But I didn't want to be too irresponsible here. But I think that the thought process is solid on both. But like you said, looking back at some of the games that the two teams have played this season, there's not a lot of parity in the rotations game to game. Heck, the last Mavs game against the Warriors, you mentioned there was no Draymond. There was also no Kleber, right? So it's like we're still coming up with game plans here that. We can't really copycat, the games from the regular season. So that's why I don't want to list Kleber or Powell as like a front end option. I am getting some questions about underdog. By the way, Suave, you gotta leave optimistic nowadays. Craziest things been happening lately. No, Suave. Understand, Suave. Like when we do these streams, like if you guys have your own like picks that you love, right? I always say you got that feeling in your bad knee or go to your gut. It is what it is. We're just here to talk it out. If you think Luka hits his unders, I wouldn't argue with that. I think Warriors opening night, Oracle. We see the Mavs get blown out on the road all but 1 game in the Sun series, right? Like it's certainly not crazy to expect the Mavs to have a down game. I was just saying that you're not the first person to think that, we just double team Luka and we win, right? Like teams have tried that, and Luka's Luka's incredible at beating the double team.
One of the best. Him and Jokic and LeBron, all 3 of them are the best at that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the difference between trapping an elite scorer that needs the ball versus trapping an elite playmaker that can score. You end up just burning yourself because they're going to end up leaving one guy open, and Luka will find that guy. We mentioned the Mavs are pretty good about switching until they have that matchup. You talked about it this morning on the First Look video. You're probably going to see Luka run screens to get the switch to where Steph Curry's guarding him more often, right? So That's all I was saying. So it was definitely not an argument thing. Everyone writes their name on the bullet that they're firing out tonight. So it's all love, man. It's all good vibes.
I would say maybe if you're not feeling Luka, and maybe instead of taking under, you could take you want a low line. You could take his 3.5 turnovers. That's pretty low prop for him because he averaged, I think, about 4.5 on the season, and he turned it over a lot in the regular season against the Warriors. I think he averaged. Let me double check. He had 6, 9, 2, and 6 in the 4 games turnovers. So.
Okay. Comparing underdog to PrizePicks to see if there's any stark contrast in pricing or in prop lines. They have Luka at 51.5 PRA. That is 2 PRA higher than what PrizePicks has. So if you do like Luka's overs tonight, you're getting a softer line on PrizePicks. Or if you're like Suave, you like Luka's unders tonight, it would be the better bet to take his under on underdog. You get that extra 2 PRA cushion. So make sure you guys are line shopping. If you're not on Underdog, you're here because you're on PrizePicks. Underdog offers a really, really similar contest structure. You put your props together, and then you can up to 20x. There is no flex, but you can, instead of 10x, 20x, and the lines aren't always 1-to-1, so you can find some differences on one side versus the other. Jalen Brunson, by the way, we talked about Brunson. We're going to be taking his 18.5 on PrizePicks. Well, Underdog has him at 19.5, so we're getting a better deal on PrizePicks on that line. DFS, they got him at 5 rebounds, 18.5 PRA. I believe that's the same. No, that's one more PRA. So we're getting more aggressive lines on Underdog. So I guess of the way this is going to play out, if we like overs, we want to put those overs more so on PrizePicks and vice versa. So anything that's offered on Underdog for this Mavs team that is not on PrizePicks right now, they got Claybot at 5 rebounds, whereas PrizePicks has them at 4.5. And then Dwight Powell at 4.5 points. We don't get a rebound prop over there. Also, we don't have any fantasy score props yet, at least not for Luka. So maybe those are coming. Dinwiddie's 1.5 threes just got grayed out on Underdog, so maybe there's some movement on that going forward. But 1.5 threes certainly. That's so close to making my list here, Josh. Just because of the style of play we usually expect the Warriors game to break out in. And you saw in that Grizzlies series, even John Morant was chucking threes, right? So okay, so Flo says any rivals you like? Underdog robbing me. Man, the rivals, at least for baseball, are really competitive. I'll double check the rivals for this game. They got Reggie Bullock versus DFS for 3-pointers made. That's pretty even. They got Steph Curry plus 12.5 PRA versus Luka. That's an intriguing one. 5.5 points on Steph versus Luka. Jalen Brunson 1.5 PRA versus Clay. Wiggins 21.5 PRA versus Luka. Klay Thompson versus Luka, 3-pointers made straight up. That's an interesting one. And then Klay versus Reggie, rebounds. Draymond versus Luka for assist. And Jordan Poole plus 20.5 points and assists versus Luka. I think none of these are like standing out to me as like egregiously bad. Most of them were really, really strong, actually. Kevin Looney plus 3 rebounds versus Luka straight up. That's fun as well. I don't really have one that stands out to me on that one, so I'm going to go back to the prop board. Maybe we'll talk through the Warriors here and game theory our way into changing that decision for the rivals. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. So, do you want to put Dinwiddie 1.5 threes or nah?
Yeah. That's something I mentioned in the first look video to look out for. I'm glad they actually gave it to us. I was worried that they wouldn't, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I believe the last 2 playoff games against the Suns, he took 7 threes in both games. So I predict him to take about 5 to 6 in this game.
All right. All right, let's shift focus here to the Warriors side. By the way, if you guys sign up for Underdog, if you're not an Underdog, if you use the link that's in chat, or when you sign up, you use code Gundacker, they'll double your first deposit up to $100. So you can stretch that bankroll a little bit longer, a little bit stronger. And a piece of advice, if you're signing really for either site, I'm a little different than Josh. Josh is a psychopath who literally eats peppers for fun. I'm not into like 4 and 5 pick power plays, full sending it. And when I do, I usually hedge it with a lot of rotating 2-pick powers. I would approach Underdog the same way, man. If you guys are gonna throw a 4-pick or 5-pick card, try and chase that 20x. Make sure you're breaking it down a little bit. Have some exposure to some 2-picks that you can kind of raise your floor with here. That's how I was using or what I was doing for PrizePicks. I was essentially round robining the 4 or 5-pick cards with a bunch of 2-pick handcuffs here. So if you are finding that you're maybe not as successful over there just yet, ask yourself, are you trying to 20x too often? Should you pull back a little bit and trying to raise the floor here? Are you playing to be profitable, or are you playing for the entertainment value of trying to hit that parlay thrill, Warrior side of the basketball, Steph Curry, 27.5 points, 5.5 assists, 3.5 threes, with 3 turnovers, 5 free throws, 44 fantasy points. Klay Thompson on the board. Our favorite prop for him is usually his 3-pointer prop. They start him off at 3.5 on PrizePicks, 20.5 real points, 28.5 PRA, 1.5 blocks and steals, 1.5 turnovers. Does he dribble the ball enough? He does, apparently, to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times a game. That's intriguing. 33 fantasy points for Klay. Andrew Wiggins is on the board, 5.5 rebounds, 22.5 PRA, 28 fantasy points. Draymond, you got that triple single as his line, 7.5 points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 dimes, with a 3 turnover prop, 28 fantasy points there. Jordan Poole, 15.5 points, 23.5 PRA. Otto Porter is on the board. They got him at 5.5 points. That's a really low number for him if he's going to get some run here, assuming we don't get that curveball that Steve Kerr once a series curveball with like Jonathan Kuminga or something like that.
JTA.
Yeah, JTA. But in this,
I got a feeling he's going to show up in this series. He did the best on Luka during the regular season.
All right. Well,
but he's a liability on offense, so it's more game script dependent if the Warriors are trying to hold the lead, I believe.
Yeah, sacrificial foul lambs.
Yep.
All right. Hey, so start me off at the top of the board tonight or this morning on your first look video. You were talking about how the Mavs defense and how the Mavs will try and screen switch to where Curry's covering Luka a little bit more. They might shift his aura, right? Some incense floating behind him. And you were talking about his 5.5 assists could be in play. Are you still on that? And then talk to me about what stands out to you on this prop board for the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, so I like a lot of the rebounds on both sides, at least, of the ball, because, like I said, both teams are going to take close to 43s each. So there's going to be a lot of rebound potential, especially long rebounds. So you can get your point guard, your 2 guard. There's going to be a lot of rebound potential there. And if you go back and look at the last games, Steph averaged about almost 7 to 8 rebounds in that 4-game series. And a lot of it is because the majority of his rebounds came from Luka's missed threes. So when Luka takes a 3, all his wings are out. And the corner of the threes on each side, and then the paint's wide open, and then it's just a long rebound straight to Steph, no one around him. So his rebounds are in play for sure. I just don't feel comfortable with his points because I think Jason Kidd has really built a formula, a really strong defense, especially on the perimeter. We've seen the Mavs just really dominate the perimeter, and I think Steph, they're gonna really focus in on him and try to stop him. So I'm probably gonna lean for either his rebounds or his assists, especially if he's drawing double coverage like he normally does, even off the ball. I think he can find cutters to the basket where the Mavs are more vulnerable in the paint. to give up more points in the paint. So guys like Wiggins driving or finding an open Looney or even cutting Draymond. So I like his 5.5 assists or 5 rebounds. And then, his 3.5 threes, he's going to take 8 to 10 threes. So, yeah, it's rolling the dice if he can get hot. He's just been very inconsistent in these playoffs. And I think it's just how much energy is, taxed on him from constantly getting double coverage and followed around and beaten up. And even when he's, off the ball, how much attention he gets and having to fight off screen. So it makes sense, especially at his age now. Yeah, the guy that I'm really keen on, I think, besides Looney, which I went into detail about why I think he's going to be the X factor, especially on defense, I think Jordan Poole, he's going to have to really step it up. He's a liability on defense, so he could lose minutes if he starts to really compromise the defense and Brunson's going off or Dinwiddie's going off. But I just think that Steve's just going to have to ride him out and hope that the offense outproduces his defense. And so I think 15.5 points, that's really low for a guy who just go nuclear from three. And he really thrives. He's so quick with his drives to the basket and his cuts. So many of his points come from, easy cuts to the rim and layups. So I think, he can get through this Mavs defense, unlike that Memphis when Morant went out, because he was attacking Morant. Right when Morant went out, Poole's points plummeted because he could not get to the basket anymore with that length and size of interior Memphis defense. A lot different situation here with Dallas. So I think if the Warriors are struggling on the perimeter because Dallas is locking it down and they're pushing the defense out to the perimeter, he's going to look to drive and score and with layups. So I like his 15.5 points. I think his 3.5 assists are low too. Because when he's out there and he's running the offense, he gets a lot of assists to Clay on 3-ball. So it's really tightly correlated when you pair his assists with Clay 3-point prop. So that you could definitely, if you want a strong pairing, that's a real strong pairing. Majority of Clay's threes come from Poole and then also Draymond. Draymond right now on Pinnacle, his 6.5 assists is at -170. Usually when you get to around -160, -170 on the betting lines, PrizePicks usually bumps it by 0.5.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised it's not at 7 already. It's been at -170 for the last hour.
Underdog has 7 as well. So yeah, PrizePicks is a little lighter on the draw here. I would expect that, and we talked about that yesterday. Those -170s, -180s, PrizePicks, you almost never find that -200, right? When the books change, so will they. So yeah, I think this 6.5 won't be 6.5 for long.
Yeah, and man, Wiggins, he's been so solid. In this entire playoffs for the Warriors, without him, they wouldn't be where they're at now. And he does the little things, the things that don't fill the box score. But with that said, I think it could be another series where it doesn't reflect in the box score, but he just, his defensive contributions and filling the lanes and gaps and making key blocks at the end of games. And his rebounding has really been crucial. But if he's having to spend so much energy guarding Luka out on the perimeter, that's less rebound opportunity for him when he's on Luka and say Luka blows by him and takes a shot. It's less defensive rebound opportunity. He'll still have the offensive rebound opportunity. But then, I don't know what to do with his points because, he will be needed, obviously, and he gets a lot of crucial cuts to the basket. And his 3-point percentage has gone up a lot during these playoffs. But, when a guy is asked to try to slow down one of the best players in the world, I just always hesitate to click on their offensive production. And then, Draymond, the one I would probably consider is going back to 6.5 assists. I think he's going to also be busy with his help defense on Luka. He could definitely get into foul trouble. Both him and Looney could get into foul trouble against Luka for sure. Both of them foul at a high rate in the paint. So I'm not fully all in on Draymond this. I want to see how this first game goes with him because, like I said, we only saw one game out of the 4-game series with Draymond playing. But yeah, I would say his 6.5 assists and his 3 turnovers is always live. I mean, he's really prone to turn it over because he tries to force the ball and force the issue. He'll once he gets the ball, he'll dribble as fast as he can down the court and try to make something happen that might not be there. So actually, I'd probably say his 3 turnovers is probably number 1 for me for him, and then his 6.5 assists, and then Clay. Like I said, I'd pair his 3.5 threes with Poole's assists.
Did you know Dallas was second last in steals per game in the regular season?
Yeah,
I knew that. Like, I knew that
changed so much, right?
Right. Yeah. No. And I'm not knocking that one. I thought that because they were such a great perimeter defense, they were the best defense against a 3-pointer. So it's just like, no, man, I give them respect for guarding the wings and guarding the long ball here, but they really weren't forcing a lot of turnovers.
But I mean, with this current unit that they've melded together for the playoffs, I mean, you saw what they did to the Suns. I mean,
yeah. No.
D-Book and Chris Paul had so many turnovers that series, every game pretty much.
Yeah. DFS Doncic, both those guys averaging over a steal per game. So definitely not saying they can't do it, but I was reading something in my head, and my brain was just like, I should speak right now. And so
yeah. No, that's a good thing to take into consideration. I mean, but Draymond, he will also just get his turnovers from throwing it out of bounds too, not live ball turnovers.
100%. Yep.
He'll get dead ball turnovers easily. He just tries to force the issue, man. But you could definitely consider that. And then Clay, I would probably go with his 3-point prop, and then either his 1.5 block steal or his 1.5 turnovers. He's been turning it over a lot because I noticed that he's trying to get more involved with the mid-range game. He's taking way more mid-range shots than normal in the past, and I think that's just because he loses confidence when he starts missing from 3. So, and then he turns it over when he tries to drive and get those mid-range shots. So, I mean, 1.5 turns is pretty low.
Right. So let me ask you, since we're talking about blocks and steals, what do you think about Andrew Wiggins' 2 blocks and steals? That seems like if we're going to get 35 to 40 minutes of Andrew Wiggins here, that's one that I'm a little bit intrigued in, because I do feel like the I won't say worst case scenario, but at 2 you leave the push there, so you're not, you know what I mean, you're not in the hole. I just feel like that's an attackable line. At 2.5, I'd probably think twice about it, but I think 2 might be low enough for Wiggins, especially the facilitation.
I would agree with that. That would probably be the only prop I really consider from him.
Okay, no, that's fair.
I mean, it's hard because Luka just dominates him. If you go back and look at the game film, he just crushes him. He just shoots right over him every time.
That Luka, he is kind of good. He's good. You know, this is kind of good. The near 200 people hanging out with us right now, and those good people can be great people if they do 2 things, Josh. Mm-hmm. 1, if they smash that thumbs up, engage with the video, show a little bit of love for the homies. And 2, they make sure that they're subscribed. If they're not subscribed, it's okay. We forgive them. Just hit that red subscribe button and be part of the family. And then as an added bonus, if they want to hang out with us off air, we have the 100% completely free Gundacker Gaming Discord. The link to that is in the description below. I mean, these boys are grinding round the clock. I'm seeing WNBA, CSGO. Obviously, you guys are grinding NBA like no other. It is a beautiful sight to see, and then every day Josh is posting his final selection of props that he's going to mix and match in the members only channel. So that one is not as free. It's only $5 a month through YouTube. But man, you guys should be in the free Discord. You guys should be hitting that like button, and you should be subscribed. We're pushing 8K. So shout out to you insane degenerates looking to gamble on a 1-game slate. I love you. I love you. Yeah.
And then lastly, other prop I would consider would be Looney's 5 points.
So I want to talk about Looney because I've been reading blurbs about how Draymond wants a little bit more Looney out there. Looney was friggin' Shaq, right? He was an underrated piece of that final. Not I would say underrated. Well, man, didn't he have like 20 rebounds? Like it was yeah, he is a rebound hog.
Yes.
So if he's earned some minutes there, and 35 is probably a little bit outlandish, but if he goes back to being, a 20-minute a player, even if it's back to 17, his rebound rate is so ridiculous that I feel like it can only go up from here. Maybe there's a little bit of sticker shock from the 20 rebound game, that maybe it goes down after an average game or two. But yeah, I definitely wanted to get your thoughts on if Looney is going to be part of the game plan going forward. Because my goodness, did he have a game against Memphis?
No, I mean, like I said, I think if I was Steve, and I'm trying to get into Steve's mind here, I think that Looney's the X factor on defense. I think he's gonna play a lot of ISO defense on the perimeter on him, like he did in the past on Harden. So he's gonna be crucial. He's just got to stay out of foul trouble on Luka. But if he is playing ISO defense out there on Luka a lot, that's less rebound opportunity for him because he's going to have his back to the rim. He's going to be focused on Luka, and it's going to leave rebounds for the guards and forwards. So they did juice his rebounds to 7. I mean, he is going to get offensive rebounds, but, man, 7, I mean, you're asking.
So here's where we start playing with rotations here. Is Looney going to be the type to get more run in the first half than the second half? And if that's the case, do we want to maybe consider some of these first half props? Looking at the board, I can pull up the recent rotations for Looney, but I can see them closing small if they needed to. And I also just want your thoughts on the game script here. I feel like when I talk to fans of teams, like they're pretty biased. If you ask me about today's Yankee game, I'm gonna tell you Garrett Cole is gonna smoke the Orioles. Aaron Judge is gonna hit 2 bombs. Giancarlo Stanton. You hate your effing team.
No,
but,
I acknowledge the weaknesses.
But okay, so I just how we put probabilities and percentages on ranges of outcomes. How often do the Warriors, who've been waiting on the Mavericks to after their Game 7 against the Suns, in Oracle, with the crowd being what it is, and how the Mavericks on the road, especially in that Sun series, a little bit susceptible to the old smackarooski. Do the Warriors? How often do the Warriors blow out the Mavs? Because I think it's above 0, might be above 10. And is there any merit in maybe hunting these first half props as a precaution to some of those, on top of us looking at Kevin Looney and his minute rotation, and maybe keying in on some of his first half props rather than going full game if we're looking for a lighter number to sweat. So, are you confident in this game being competitive? I guess it's the shortened version of that question.
It all depends on the 3-point shooting for both sides. I mean, they're both going to put up a ton of threes, and if both are hot, then yes, that's going to be competitive. If one is more lopsided, then it's either way it could blow out. Obviously, because if one of them gets hot from 3,
that's such a cop-out answer.
It's not a cop-out.
That's a cop-out answer. You should be ashamed, bro.
If you go look at the analytics and people are asking why is there so many blowouts in the playoffs in the NBA, it's because of the increase in 3-point shooting. Once a team gets such a large lead with 3-point shooting, it's so hard to overcome. So I think there's a possibility that Warriors get hot from 3 and pull away. But I would say that Looney, I would game script him that he is going to be more of a defensive key piece if the Warriors want to maintain a lead, say they're like in a 10 to 15 point lead. I think he would even get minutes in the second half just to help try to slow down Luka and maintain that lead. If the Warriors are trailing, I would suspect that he would play less minutes, and it would be Otto going in for his 3-point shooting and to spread out the perimeter and open things up for the 3-point shooting. That's kind of my game script theory, and so whatever you think is going to happen, I would kind of go with that.
We've definitely seen them start Otto the second half if it things went awry. So with that in mind, Kevin Looney, if he's the confirmed starter here, 6.5 PRA in the first half. Your thoughts on that line versus grabbing the full game line?
I like it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Because it also accounts for him getting in foul trouble. Like, say he gets foul trouble later in the game or late in the second quarter, but he could clear that in the first quarter. I mean, we've seen him. He gets a few offensive rebounds and some putbacks. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
All right, we're gonna do that. And do you want to nominate Steph Curry's 5.5 assists, or are you gonna let that chill?
I'm gonna let it chill just because of Draymond being there and being he can take over as the floor general and play make. So
yeah, I don't like, because we have Draymond 6.5 assists. I hate to sweat two guys at 5.5, 6.5 assists. You know what I mean? So maybe if we did that, we'd prevent the overlap between those two lines.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there something on Steph Curry that you would put on a short list from this game that you want to?
I mean, obviously his 3 points is always live, but I'm not super confident on it, and I would say mid tier would be 5 rebounds for me. They're going to try to hide him back in the wings on defense away from Luka, and he's just going to come in and get easy rebounds from his 3-pointers. So it's kind of my game script theory.
Mergani, Osman, and Duno Tron, man. I appreciate those subs. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are out there lurking, 200 plus of you guys hanging out, surely appreciate that. 46 likes, man. Could we get that to 100? Could 50% of you guys hit that like button? That would be great. Let's go look at the underdog board for the Warriors here, see if there's any big differences here. If you guys aren't on underdog, they will double your first deposit. No slow drip, none of that nonsense, no playthrough requirements. Get on that. They also have best ball for NFL already going. They got the best ball Mania 3. They got golf contest, so it's not just pick'ems. It's not quite DFS. It's something right in the middle. If you guys remember draft, it's the same. So looking at the lines on underdog for the Warriors, Steph Curry is at 6 assists. So if you like the 5.5 assists, take it while it lasts, because that might move up. They got Steph at 11.5 rebounds plus assists. So if you were interested in his rebounds and quasi-interested in his assists, maybe that line stands out to you. Linear on the Clay 3-point prop, 3.5. I think we're getting a better deal on Clay's real points on PrizePicks. No, we're not. 27.5. That's 1-to-1. Draymond is at 7 assists, like you said. I expect that line to go up. It was at minus 180 on the over. So look for that line to adjust on PrizePicks sooner than later. Wiggins is at 6 rebounds. There's not like a egregious line, at least stark contrast between the two sites, outside of a couple of these guys have a little bit higher lines on underdog than PrizePicks. So I'm not getting a big difference here. So with that said, looking at the list for the Warriors, I had jotted down Draymond Green 6.5 assists, Klay Thompson 3.5 threes, or 1.5 block steals. Andrew Wiggins 2 steals, blocks, one eye shut, the other eye open, tilted head like a dog going, okay. Kevin Looney 6.5 PRA first half, and then on the Mavs side, I had Luka first half fantasy or 1.5 steals, DFS fantasy points or PRA. Jalen Brunson 18.5 real points, Spencer Dinwiddie 1.5 threes. Anything else that you want to mention?
Yeah. So I went back and looked at the game logs, and it's going to be different. It's a whole different series, but this is all we have to go off of. Maxey seems to play more minutes in the first half. I don't know if you can check that. Double check me.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at it really easy.
I think, to me, now a lot of it could be due to foul trouble, because I know he did get in foul trouble in some of these games, but it seemed like the last 3 games he played more minutes.
So I mean, the last game, the fourth quarter, obviously got funky.
Sure.
The game prior, so most of these games are like blowouts. So I hate to make a assumption here, but Maxey. Pretty equal in the game prior. Dude, every one of these games is freaking blowout, man.
I know.
Hopefully tonight it's not the same.
Because what happens when you live and die by the 3. Either if you're shooting bad from 3, you're gonna get blown out, or you're gonna blow them out.
Yeah. All right. I don't think it's much more than a coincidence at this
Yeah.
in the short look back here. But
I mean, 8 fantasy points is pretty low for him.
yeah. Speaking of fantasy points, look at some of my fantasy point projections here and see if there's any big differences. Obviously, I have Luka for a whole lot. I will always have Luka a lot whenever I get him to like 40 minutes. I got Draymond at 41 fantasy points, and I don't think we had the fantasy. Oh, they had him at 28. I'm pretty aggressively on the over in my algorithm. I would understand being pessimistic about that. Man, but that is a pretty big margin between my projection and theirs. You know, it's what 12, 13 points. So maybe I'd backdoor a nomination for Draymond. I also have Draymond at 25 PRA, and they got him at 22.5. So if you wanted to take out the sweat of the turnovers, right? Because we're talking, 3 or 4 or 5 turnovers, maybe the 22.5 PRA is something we can get behind. And then we already mentioned the Brunson fantasy points, something I can lean the over. Everything else is kind of tertiary at best here. So there's that. Chat, make sure you're in the free Discord. Do you have a pack of cards to open? Yeah. So if you are new to this show, my dog likes for a literal, and if you're new to the show, you may not know this dude is literally a neuroscientist at Stanford. That's not a gimmick. That's when I call him the mad scientist. It's a play off of that. That's insane to me. But he's a man who loves narratives, and like tarot cards, he likes to open a pack of cards and see if after he's done his research, if there's anything that the basketball gods want him to know. So you just ripped it open. The first card was Kristaps Porzingis, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Davis Bertans and Spencer Dinwiddie. We could draw the 1-to-1. My boy Westy, yes, the GOAT, has nothing to do with this game. So I will say yesterday, Jimmy Butler was the first card you pulled yesterday, right?
Off.
Obviously. Are we just looking at players that are somewhat related to this game? The Suns, they got smacked. Who was that? Ayton?
Yeah.
All right, maybe that means Dwight Powell is gonna smoke Looney. I don't know. Is that an autograph? What the heck?
No, it's a hologram THT. All right, last one.
This pack sucks.
It does. All right. Oh. Look at we did this pack yesterday, man.
Peyton Pritchard. Hey man, I told you, fast PP.
And Tatum.
And Tatum. Nice.
That's a sign. Play him tomorrow. Kendrick Nunn.
Nope.
TJ Warren.
Oh my god, dude! I forgot. He didn't play. I don't know. The Bubble Warren. Do you remember that? That was.
Lomo. This is your boy, man.
Who was that? I can't. Yeah, you gotta understand. I can't see crap as it is. So, Kyle Anderson. That's not my boy. Anyway.
And AD.
AD.
So, hey, this is a sign. I think last time we picked guys besides Jimmy, they either got hurt or didn't play. So.
There you go. All right, chat. What you guys got? We got Parker says, "Do we like any Jordan Poole prop?" So, So Josh was saying, if you think about the Grizzlies' defense, they put up a wall. They were one of the toughest teams, and I'll show you the stats for the season. The Memphis Grizzlies, when it came to points in the paint allowed, were one of the tougher teams to score on. A little bit on the season, a little bit low, league average. But once Ja Morant was removed, they became one of the best defensive ratings in the league. And that's where Jordan Poole started to struggle, because he does like to drive to the rack a lot, and that lane closed pretty quickly. So now that he does have a new defense in front of him, one that he can get behind and blow by a Luka here and there, it is a better spot for him. So if you had to attach yourself to a Jordan Poole prop, Josh, would it be the 15.5 points or the 2 threes, or either?
I'm gonna stick with the 15 points because the Mavs being a good perimeter defense, if he's struggling from 3, he can still get it done by driving to the basket, like you said. So
okay,
and I think his PRA is in play too, because he should get rebounds with all the 3-pointers going up and assists too, because we liked his 3.5 assists as well.
Okay.
But that 15.5 points is really low for a guy that can get hot at any moment.
There you go. The curse pack. Fade today. What a Kiefer. Kiefer, you know, god dang well you're not fading today. No, all you... If you guys are out here grinding the Heat in Celtics game, you know, gosh dang well you're not fading no man. And if you're fading them right now, you know, gosh dang well when 6 o'clock hits and you're sitting around waiting for the game to start, you're gonna want to sweat something. So might as well have your mind made up now and have your decisions made. Remember cards in the can of the 90s, man. Do know you're showing your age, bro. Upper Deck. Yeah, I have a box of baseball cards on my desk.
Yeah, Fleer, Upper Deck, man.
Bro.
Those are jam.
Didn't they, oh, man, what is it? There's a big license shift. Like, Topps no longer has the baseball license. I think Fanatics or something like that has the rights to them next year, so that'll
So
save
all those
things.
card companies are dead? The original ones?
Chat, maybe somebody out there can correct me, but I think from my understanding, you've heard of Fanatics, the company? I think it's Fanatics. From what I understand, I think they caught the exclusive rights to baseball cards next year, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, maybe it would it would put some companies out of business there. So yeah. All right. Anything else you want to toss out there before I get into the RunDFS.com VIP Discord? I got to do some baseball coverage for the DFS main slate. So if you guys do play some DFS or some baseball, you can definitely jump over to RunDFS.com, get yourself a VIP membership. I will be in the voice chat for the next couple hours, making my DFS player pool for baseball and all that good stuff. So go check that out. Otherwise, the completely 100% free Gundacker Gaming Discord is available to you at the click of a button. The link is in the description below, right? Yeah. I don't know how the WF cards and the ice cream oh my god, dude, the WF ice cream was so good. So good. So Josh, we're gonna post the prop detector. So if you guys are channel members, and the way to become a channel member is you hit that join button below. It's like $5 a month. Make sure you link your Discord to your YouTube, and it'll automatically unlock these channels right here. And Josh has been posting his favorite picks, and then he's been doing this cool thing where he kind of shows you a cool path to correlate some of those favorite picks.
Oh yeah, I'll do that today for sure, because there's going to be different mixtures with Kleba and Powell.
And I think that's a really valuable piece there. So it looks something like this, a couple cards with some of the picks. So that's a cool little addition that he added. So if you guys want some of that, hit that join button below. But for free, literally for free, just join it and hit that PrizePicks props channel. You guys are grinding it, man. I love to see it. If you're on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. And Josh is out there somewhere, but I can never tell if he's active or not on Twitter. So
I look.
I lurk. It is what it is.
Hey, before we go, Luka, full game fantasy or first half?
I'm thinking first half because I'm not sold that game's competitive, Josh. I'm a little bit more respectful of the Warriors than you are, you little self-loathing.
And he always plays the entire first quarter, so I get it. Mm-hmm. And that's when the Warriors struggle the most, is first quarter. So
yeah, I'm thinking first half. All right, chat, I got to get into the RunDFS.com Discord. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, making part of my day be part of your day. Tell somebody out there that you love them, because I love you. Tomorrow, Josh, I got no midday obligations for baseball content, so we can do another stream for basketball. So you guys come on back. You hear? That's so dumb. Anyway, I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.
I'll give MLB slate is it?
It's like 6 games, and it's like all of the aces. There's like Scherzer, Garrett Cole. I think there's some really good pitching on this slate. So those are my favorite slates, and there's no cores, no 3K giant stacking cores to sweat. So fun times.
I'll catch you in then.
All right, bro.
Later.
Bye.